There's a kind of loneliness that doesn't come from being alone. It comes from feeling like someone is missing, not just anyone, but the one. And it's not just in your mind, it's in your soul. A whisper, a pulse, an ache you can't explain. Maybe you felt it before. Late at night, staring at the ceiling, everyone around you thinks you're fine, but something's wrong, something's missing. You don't have the words, only the silence. Let me ask you something, quietly, like a thought you've never said out loud. What if someone is dreaming of you, but you've been too numb to notice? What if your soulmate, not the one from movies or fairy tales, but the real one, is wandering this same world, waiting, aching, looking for you, not the perfect version of you, not the filtered, polished, ready version, but the one who's scared, tired, searching, just like them. In my years as a psychiatrist, I sat with thousands of souls who spoke not of what they lost, but of who they never found. It is one of the most devastating forms of grief, missing someone you haven't even met. And here's the hardest truth I'll say today. Sometimes your soulmate is calling, but you've put the phone on silent. You've gotten so used to noise, scrolling, pleasing, performing, that you forgot how to listen for what's real. This isn't about romance. This is about soul recognition. It's the strange electricity when someone sees through your armor and doesn't flinch, when their presence feels like memory, but you've never spoken a word. We're going to talk about 9 signs that your soulmate is closer than you think. 9 quiet signals your soul has been trying to send, but you've been trained to ignore. Before we begin, I need you to know something. This isn't a checklist, it's a mirror. And you may not like everything you see, but maybe it's where the healing begins. Because here's the thing about soulmates. They don't come to complete you. They come to remind you who you were before the world told you who to be. So if you've ever felt a ghost of love inside you, if you've ever sensed a presence just out of reach, if you've ever dreamed of eyes you've never seen, but somehow knew, stay. We're going there, because the soul doesn't shout, it whispers. And maybe, just maybe, this is the moment you finally decide to hear it. Asterisk. There was a time when love meant collision, 2 lives crashing, it's 2 eyes meeting, 2 silences intertwining until something eternal stirred. Now, love is a tap. Swipe a filtered photo with a clever caption. You see someone, you don't feel them. They respond, but you don't know them. We are surrounded by thousands, and more alone than ever. You can lie in bed next to someone and feel galaxies away. You can laugh in a group chat and cry as soon as the screen fades to black. You can say, I love you, without ever having seen the soul of the person you're saying it to. I say this not with judgment, but with grief. 'Cause I've watched the human heart retreat behind glass. I've seen people with open calendars, but closed spirits, always available, never present. Love is the ultimate and the highest goal to which man can aspire. I once wrote, and I meant it. It's because in love, we see what the world cannot, the core of the other person, their essence, their truth. But how do you see a soul in a world addicted to surfaces? We have created a reality where we can connect with anyone, anywhere, anytime, but we don't know how to truly meet. The paradox is cruel. More access, less depth. We crave meaning, but settle for distraction. We long for connection, but settle for performance. What we now call dating is often not the search for a soulmate, but a search for attention, for validation, for brief relief, from the fear of being unseen. And when we do find someone, we don't ask, can they hold my truth? We ask, will they like my highlight reel? I've seen the damage this does to the human soul. We stop showing up as who we are. We begin curating ourselves, editing out the awkwardness, the wounds, the fears, till even we no longer recognize what's real in us. And so, your soulmate, the one who would love the truth of you, has no way to find you because you've hidden it. Imagine this, two people side by side, each with earbuds in, each scrolling, liking, watching. They're only inches apart, but their hearts are in different universes. Not because they don't care, but because the world trained them to avoid stillness, to avoid presence, to put the quiet where truth is born. And I must ask you, with as much gentleness as I can, are you truly open to being known, or only open to being admired? To be seen is terrifying, because to be seen means to be vulnerable. To admit, I'm still healing, I'm still scared, I still don't have it all figured out. But only in that place, in that rawness, can love take root. Because a soulmate doesn't fall in love with your image. They fall in love with your core. And if your core is buried beneath masks, beneath filters, beneath algorithms, then how will they find you? We must unlearn the performances. We must return to the silence, not the silence of disconnection, but the silence where two souls can finally listen. That's where love begins. Not in perfect timing, not in perfect words, but in the moment when two hearts finally put the phones down and see each other. And maybe the reason your soulmate hasn't arrived is not because they're late, but because you've both been too busy searching in the wrong dimension. They're not in your inbox. They're not in your story views. They're somewhere out there, fighting the same numbness, longing for the same depth, aching to be found without pretense. So the question is no longer, will I ever find them? The question is, am I willing to be found? And that is a revolution of the heart. Asterisk, there is an emptiness in you that has no name. It is not sadness, nor loneliness. No, it is something more subtle. It's like a musical note, suspended in the air, waiting for its harmony. You are sitting on the bus, or walking alone on the sidewalk in the late afternoon. Suddenly, you feel as if someone is missing. Not someone from your past, but someone who has not yet arrived. This absence does not exactly hurt, but it weighs heavily. It's like a memory of a life you never lived, but that your heart seems to remember. Maybe you look at couples on the street and feel like you are waiting for something more, not for companionship, but for completeness. The soul longs to be completed, not by half of the other, but by the most intimate reflection of itself. I could say today, with more certainty than ever, this longing is the silent call of your soulmate. She feels it too. She also carries this mysterious absence, this feeling that there is a story waiting to be told, a story that begins with the two of you. But many ignore this. The rush of the world drowns out this call. We exchange this longing for distractions, for fleeting loves that don't touch us deeply. And the question remains, would you recognize this person if they were looking at you right now? Asterisk, you've tried. You've tried to laugh in light conversations. You've tried to make it work with someone who had everything going for him, but inside, something inside you is withering. Every shallow encounter, every relationship that revolves around appearance, status, or routines draining a part of your soul. You feel like you're going around in circles, trying to connect, but always hitting invisible walls. People tell you that you're demanding, that you need to be more flexible, but deep down, you know, it's not about demanding, it's about truth. You don't want someone who just shares your bed. You want someone who shares your destiny. Love is not limited to a feeling, it's a decision. To see the other person in their essence, to stay even in the face of pain, I once wrote. And maybe you're tired because you've looked into the eyes of people who never really saw you. You're not wrong for wanting more. You are just listening to a song that others are not yet listening to. So I ask you, how long will you still be content with connections that do not touch your soul? Asterisk, true love seems beautiful until it gets too close. You want love, but when someone approaches you with sincerity, with presence, with intention, you back away. Why? Because you know that being truly loved means being seen, and you learned perhaps too early that showing who you are can be dangerous. It can generate rejection. It can scare, so you became good at hiding. You hid your traumas with humor. You hid your fears with productivity. You hid your soul with masks that even you started to believe in. But something inside you wants to be unmasked, because even though the world applauds your edited version, your soul yearns for release. Human beings are capable of finding meaning even in suffering, but only if they have the courage to face it. I wrote during the darkest days of my life. True love is a light that penetrates layers. It is not satisfied with your decorated version. It wants your pain, your mess, your reality. But that scares you, because what if, when you are seen, you are left? The truth is, your soulmate will not run away from what she sees in you, because what she sees is the reflection of what she carries too. So the question echoes, are you ready to be loved without armor? Or will you continue to run away from what you desire most? You have a life that many would envy, a stable job, loyal friends, maybe even an okay relationship. And yet, when the lights go out, something inside you whispers, this isn't it. It's not complete emptiness. It's a specific emptiness, like a puzzle piece missing right in the center of the picture. You even try to convince yourself that you should be happy, and in many moments, you are. But there's something that no achievement, trip, or compliment can fill. The absence of a look that recognizes you. The fullness of being is not achieved by the sum of pleasures, but by the encounter with another who reveals your essence. I would write today, after everything I've experienced, your soulmate won't fill your void, toned, but they will illuminate the parts you forgot existed. Because some emotions don't just come to you. They awaken with the right touch, the right presence, the right soul. And maybe everything is fine, except for the one thing that matters most. So tell me, what's really missing in your life? Or are you afraid to find out? Asterisk, they're kind. They're attractive. They even say the right things, but something feels off. Like eating a dish that looks perfect, but leaves you strangely unsatisfied. Again and again, you meet someone who's almost it. You try, you stay, you give. But your soul, it stays quiet. It's not about perfection. It's about resonance. You crave someone whose presence doesn't just make sense, but makes you feel home. Love is not merely finding someone to live with, I once reflected. It's discovering the one without whom life feels incomplete. These almost connections can be dangerous because they're comfortable enough to delay the real one. You settle, you rationalize, you lower your expectations, but your soul knows. Your laughter feels rehearsed. Your silence feels awkward. And when you imagine your future, you edit the story to make it bearable. No judgment. You're just tired. It's tired of being disappointed. It's tired of holding on to hope. But maybe this pattern of almosts isn't proof that love doesn't exist. Maybe it's the universe training you to recognize the real thing when it finally arrives. So here's the question. How long will you water a garden that refuses to bloom before realizing your soil is meant for something deeper? Asterisk. You dream of a face you've never seen. You wake up with a name on your lips. You see the same numbers again and again on clocks, receipts, addresses. You brush it off, a glitch in the mind, a coincidence, but something deep inside whispers, pay attention. The universe speaks softly. And sometimes, love sends signals ahead of time. You begin to notice patterns. You hear a song you've never heard before, and it feels like someone wrote it for your story. You bump into strangers who say things you needed to hear. Or you feel sudden waves of emotion, like someone, somewhere, is thinking of you. Meaning is not found in facts alone, but in the connections we allow ourselves to see. I discovered in the darkest corners of the camps. Maybe your soul is already listening. Maybe your heart is tuning in to someone else's longing, because true connection is often preluded by intuition. But here's the hard truth. You can't follow signs you keep ignoring, can't see messages if your eyes stay closed. So ask yourself, what if the signs are real and the only thing missing is your willingness to believe? Asterisk, it's not just about waiting, it's about preparing. You feel this pull to become more whole, more healed, more aligned. As if your soul knows it must be ready for the kind of love it once prayed for. You start letting go of things that no longer serve you. You outgrow people, habits, places, not out of arrogance, but because something deeper is awakening. You're not chasing love anymore. You're becoming someone who can hold it. What gives our lives meaning is not what we find, but who we become in the process of seeking. I used to write in the margins of my thoughts, you feel like you need to become stronger so you don't collapse under the weight of something so real. You want to heal your wounds so you don't bleed on someone who didn't cut you. It's not about being perfect. It's about being true, about standing firm in your values. So when love arrives, you can receive it with both hands, not just wounded hope. This urge to grow isn't random. It's your soul getting into position, preparing you not for the love you once begged for, but the one that's been calling you all along. So here's the question. Are you becoming the person you once promised to the love of your life? Asterisk, mornings are the most honest part of the day. Before your mind reboots its routines, before distractions cover the truth, you open your eyes, and for a second, you feel it. Absence, not anxiety, not sadness. It's just a quiet emptiness where something or someone should be. You turn to the side of the bed. It's cold, not physically, but energetically. You go through the motions, you shower, you get dressed, you check your phone. But the silence behind the noise remains. This isn't depression. It's a reminder that your story is still unfolding, that there's a chapter yet to be lived with someone who has not arrived. The human heart has the capacity to wait, but only if it understands that its waiting has meaning. That's something I learned from the deepest kind of hunger, the hunger for connection. You don't need to fix this feeling, you need to honor it. That morning ache is not a flaw, it's a signal that your soul remembers something your mind is still trying to understand. So I ask you, what if that emptiness you wake up with is the echo of someone waking up missing you too? Asterisk, let's be honest, hope can be heavy, okay? And sometimes you wonder if this whole soulmate idea was just a story you told yourself to make the loneliness bearable. You've waited, you've worked on yourself, you've whispered prayers into the dark, but silence is hard to love. You fear you'll spend your life missing someone you were never meant to meet. And that fear, it doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. The greatest suffering, I once wrote, is to live a life stripped of meaning, not by pain, but by indifference. But I'm here to tell you something else. The very ache you feel is proof that something sacred still lives inside you. Your longing is not your enemy, it's your compass, pointing toward something real, something rare, something worth waiting for. Don't let the silence fool you. Your soulmate isn't absent, they're just on a parallel journey, becoming, healing, searching for the version of you that's also becoming, healing, and searching. So, one last question. What if the fear that they'll never come is actually the final veil before you finally meet them? Asterisk, we search for someone who will see us, not with their eyes, but with their soul. And yet, we often forget, no one can see you clearly till you've seen yourself. In a world obsessed with finding the one, we rarely stop to ask, who is it that's doing the looking? So many are in pursuit of a soulmate, of love, of wholeness, but still feel lost. Why? Because the one you're seeking cannot meet a version of you that isn't fully here. Asterisk, there is a paradox. Your soulmate is not hiding. They are waiting, not in the distance, but in the depth. When we are no longer able to change the world, I wrote, we are challenged to change ourselves. And in that challenge lies the truth. The path to the other always begins with the path to the self. Asterisk, the world taught you to prepare for love, but preparation was never about appearance. It was about presence, not about fixing yourself. to become lovable, but about facing yourself to become real. Because the soul doesn't fall in love with masks. It longs for what is true. And truth lives not in perfection, but in awareness. Asterisk, to meet your soulmate, you must arrive in your own life first. You must walk back into your pain, into your longings, into the forgotten corners you were too afraid to explore. Because the real you, the one they're drawn to, isn't who you're pretending to be. It's who you already are beneath the noise. Asterisk, this is why some people pass by each other like strangers, while others collide like galaxies too. Worlds that had already been preparing for the same meeting. Through different storms. They don't find each other through searching. They find each other through becoming. Asterisk. So if you ask me, when will I find them? I will ask you first, have you found yourself? Because the meeting, the real one, can only happen when the self is truly present. The soul does not respond to longing alone. It responds to readiness. And maybe, just maybe, you are not waiting for them. Maybe they are waiting for you to arrive in your own life, say, and finally, be seen. Asterisk. What if I told you that your soulmate isn't far away, not across the ocean, not hidden behind 1,000 faces, but closer, perhaps, right beside the version of yourself you keep forgetting to become? We imagine love as a thunderclap, an arrival, a firework. But the soul does not beg for attention. It waits in silence. It does not shout. It listens. It watches. See if we will finally slow down enough to hear the quiet knock on the door of our own becoming. Asterisk. You were never meant to chase love like a storm. You were meant to open yourself like a sky after rain, to become the kind of presence that love is drawn to, not because you demand it, but because you reflect it. You see, maybe your soulmate is closer than you think. But first, you must become visible to yourself, because if you can't see your own soul, how will they ever find it? Asterisk. There is someone whose heart beats to the rhythm of your absence, who doesn't know your name, feels your echo in dreams they can't quite explain. They walk through life with a sense that something beautiful is missing, and that maybe you are what's missing. Asterisk. In the end, the greatest love stories do not begin with a spark, but with an awakening.